Welcome to Live from Dennis's house, only on 474 The Mix, where the music matters. I'm your host, Dennis Morgillo, and each week we transport you back in time, to a simpler time, to a happier time, when men were men and McDonald's stopped serving breakfast promptly at 10:30 a.m. You know, kids today don't know the struggle that we went through. You could have been the president, the Pope, Al Capone, but at 10:31 you could not get an Egg McMuffin if your life depended on it. So yes, I'm going to transport you today back to 1969, back when a weekend of Coke, hookers, and herbal Viagra only cost $300. I'm going to take you back to your basement, your bedroom, rec room, attic, wherever you hung out listening to your vinyl albums. So dust off those old records and get ready for some fun memories. Today, we are spotlighting the 1969 classic album, Kick Out the Jams by the MC5.
Nice.
All right, now let's meet the crew. Hey, Cha-Cha, how's it going? My co-host.
How you doing?
And head writer, Stephen Bello.
Hi, everybody.
And band leader, musical director, Dee Dee Pie.
I'm rocking.
So, we're going to get right into the Man About Town segment. That's where I tell all the exciting and interesting things that I've done in the past week. But I didn't really do anything that exciting or interesting this week. So, I'm going to go right to my news stories again. I showed these last week just a little bit, and I read a little excerpt from it. But I'm actually in two newspapers. We're actually in two newspapers this week. We are in the Co-Star and in the Two River Times. And if you see in this picture here, Laura pushed Dee Dee out of the entire picture, and she's gone. But then back in this one, she came back in again. So I'm glad for Dee Dee. She pushed her way back into that picture.
Look how
It's
handsome
a struggle.
she is.
It's
Yes,
a struggle.
we're all very handsome group we have here. And I just want to say that very flattering article here. They compared me to Jon Stewart and Bill Maher.
Yeah.
Which I have,
Wow.
I take umbrage with because those are political shills for the left, and I will not be bought or sold. I don't get involved in politics. We're just here for the music and for the fun. But the one thing I did want to talk about that I mentioned this on social media that never before has someone been on two articles at the same week since 1975 when Bruce Springsteen did it. And these are legitimate newspapers, the Co-Star and the Two River Times, not like those rags that he was in, Time and Newsweek. Who ever heard of those things? So I have declared myself the new boss now.
Absolutely.
So
Who's your daddy?
you can address me as the new boss from now on. So what do you think of that?
That's beautiful.
That's hot. It's hot.
Let's give ourselves a round of applause.
Awesome.
And this reminds me of what my journalism teacher used to say all the time. My Professor Musselman, he used to always say to me, Dennis, if you can't get in, then stay the heck out. And I never knew what the hell he was talking about, and I still don't. But
Sounds good.
Figured it out myself.
my Professor Claude Musselman, I went to Fordham University, as I called it, FU.
I'm sure he's watching too. He's proud.
This actually, I thought about this today. I don't know why, but it popped into my head. One of my earliest memories of all time has nothing to do with this show right now, but it just popped in my head, and it popped in early. I'm going to say it. So my sister went to NYU. We lived in Queens, New York City, and she went to NYU in Manhattan, right? So we were driving her back to college. She's 10 years older than me, so I was 8 at the time. And it was a Sunday morning, and we're driving. There's no traffic, nobody in New York City, and we stop at a light. And there's this giant 300-pound homeless woman going to the bathroom in a garbage can.
Oh, give me a break. Wow.
And I'm just a little kid sitting in the back seat, staring out the window, looking at her, and she gets all angry at me. And she like jumps down off the garbage can, and she goes, "What you looking at? I'll cut you like paper."
Oh, no.
And I was like traumatized by this. I invaded her personal space. I'm driving through the city. Shouldn't be going to the bathroom in a garbage can. So I was forever traumatized by that. And that's another thing. How do you become 300 pounds if you're a homeless woman? These are the questions that have stuck with me all these years. So anyway, enough of that.
Question.
Enough of that nonsense. Okay, we're back now. And now it is time for Cha Cha and the word on the street. So what do you got for us this week, Cha Cha?
Well,
the gossip columnist to the stars, as
Yes.
they called you in the newspaper
Well,
article.
you know that I was sick last week, so I missed the
Oh,
story.
I knew.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. But I'm better now, so we can talk about Lamar Odom.
Yes, I heard about this.
Huge
Yes, this
story.
was all over the place, and we missed out on
Yeah,
it.
we did. But, they never stop giving. So he is out of his coma now, you know that, and they flew him to a hospital, transferred him to L.A.
Where was he now? Like,
He was
in
in
case
Vegas.
someone else was sick last
I'm
week,
sorry.
you want to retell the whole story of what happened?
Well, he was in a brothel in Vegas for 3 days, and they don't know what he took, or at least I'm not sure. That he had taken some natural herb or something, like a natural Viagra.
Yeah, that's what they keep saying,
Yeah,
natural Viagra.
yeah,
What is that? It's nonsense. He was doing coke for 3 days straight.
Exactly. So
And who
he
was...
was left alone in the room, and they came
Alone?
back.
Okay.
He came back, and they rolled him over, and he was like foaming at the mouth, and so they called the ambulance, of course, and they want to transport him to the hospital, but he was too big to get in the helicopter. This is true. He's like over 7. He's like 7 feet tall. He's huge.
At least.
So they take him to another hospital where he remained, and all the Kardashians show up, and they're by his side, and they're trying to stop the guy who owns this ranch, that they call it, from talking. And he basically said, "Screw you, Kardashians. I have to protect my business." And he put out all these statements, and that's where it came that he had been there for 3 days. He was with 2 of these women.
Playing Twister
He was-
and
yeah.
taking herbal
And
Viagra.
So they were. So he was in a coma, and it didn't look good for a while.
Yes.
He was on life support, and then all right. So
Go ahead.
okay, so fast forward, he's out of the coma now, and they transfer him to L.A., a hospital in L.A. where he's recovering. But the funny thing is that he was never divorced from Khloe Kardashian, and I thought that they were divorced. I mean, they act like they were divorced,
Well,
obviously.
yeah,
So now they stopped the divorce proceedings, and they're gonna. I guess,
That'll do it.
Yeah.
A night in a brothel to get your woman back.
I should try
I
that.
know. It's like, honey, 3 days in a brothel, I realize how much I love and
Oh,
miss
my
you. I mean,
The funny thing that I heard Charlie Sheen saying, "Are you kidding me? That's what my Tuesday night is like."
So, and my next
Well,
story.
hold on. Before I want to interject a little about this, because any chance I have to attack the Kardashians, I will.
Ooh.
And this makes me think again that every guy that gets involved with them, horrific things happen to him. So my theory is
Them,
that
you mean?
Yes.
Them? Okay.
Robert Kardashian, the dad,
Yeah.
he sold his soul to the devil to get OJ
Right.
off, right?
Absolutely.
So therefore, the devil took him right away, and he died.
Yeah.
And then he
Died.
put a curse on the family, and that they're all like a family of vampires, and they suck the souls out of every men that come by. They're like the succubus is the phrase that, and
Succubus.
yes, and I think that the Kardashians are the worst thing to happen to black men since sickle cell. It's just everyone. I don't know. Kanye better pack up and run, or put on a suit of armor or something. Who knows what's gonna happen to them? But anyway, let's get to your next story.
Well, all right.
How do you top that?
Okay, so Oprah Winfrey brought 10% of Weight Watchers.
Those jokes write themselves. Yeah.
Awesome.
You know, have at it, guys. Have at
She
it.
ate the other 90%.
She spent over $45 million for 10% of the company in one day. She made $70 million. I
Hey.
mean,
Hey,
she's
Steven,
got the golden
Didn't you
touch.
see her on TV the other day and say she was putting on a little weight?
Yes, actually, that's true. I was
Tell me about
watching her
that.
on Channel 7. I turned on Channel 9. I still saw part of her ass. Yeah.
But I'm bummed.
All right. So now that you're done with your stories, right?
Yes,
That's
yes.
good. Thank you, Chacha, very much. Now we're going to
Very
go
welcome.
to Stephen Shecky Bello, and hopefully he has a joke for us, and he didn't just tell it to us.
Yeah, no, that wasn't it. Well, this is in the news recently that Oscar Pistorius
Yes.
Oh.
was he's going to out of prison, and now he's going to be under home arrest.
Right.
So he's celebrating with by doing shots in the bathroom and becoming legless. Yeah. That was just something I was thinking.
Oh, that's bad.
Thank you, Shecky. Now let's get to the
That was painful.
on the scene with Dee Dee Pie here. You got anything going on over there? you'd
Oh,
like
we
to,
got stuff
talk
going
about?
on. I got stuff
All
going
right,
on.
let's hear what you got.
Well, I'm not telling you about my scene because I'd have to kill you. But I didn't do a lot of stuff this weekend because I've been taking care of my stuff. And I can't tell you what that means. No, I found a pad to live in, so now I'm good. So now I can start going out. But if you want something fun to do this weekend, there's a couple of, I'm picking my favorites. Friday, the Borough Boys are playing the happy hour at the Headliner at 6 o'clock, and that's a Big Rooney production. That's always going to be fun, and Strawberry Pie is going to be doing one of those pretty soon, so of course we'll get top billing. And the other thing that I recommend is Scott Elk at the Wine Loft at 9 o'clock.
Wow.
He's
Busy
awesome.
night.
Yeah, busy night. There's other stuff going on, but those are my two favorites. Those are my picks.
Can I interject one thing? What we're doing on Saturday night, we're going to see Lisa Sherman at
yeah.
the
That's
Algonquin
Saturday
Theater.
night.
You
I
have
was
that?
just
Oh,
going to
sorry.
talk about
All
that
right,
with
sorry.
Bobby Bandera.
I'll edit
That's-
myself out then.
Oh, yeah. No, that is definitely the Saturday night thing to do. However, if you're not going down there, what you really want to do is go to Sawa Pier Village to see Strawberry Pie.
Oh, competing.
All right? I'm just saying, sushi, sake, and pie. Like, it doesn't get any better
Perfect
than that.
together.
That is
And we
awesome.
love Lisa. So, you know, if you're going there, go there. But if not, you come see us because we're going to rock it. And then Sunday, there's two pretty cool things going on. There is a tribute to Mr. Lou, who was a wonderful musician that played with a lot of local bands and local people, and he recently passed. So it's a tribute show to him at 12 o'clock at the Stone Pony, including a spaghetti dinner at 2 o'clock. And so it's $20 to get in, and it's an all-day jam with all the people that he played with, and he was a really nice guy, and everybody loved him, so we're going to have fun celebrating him. And then after that at 5 o'clock, there's Sandy Mac's Jam at Harry's Lobster House in Seabright. So it's going to be a busy musical weekend.
Wow,
And
a
that's just
lot
the
of
stuff I
going
like. There's
on.
a lot of
That's some
other
good
stuff.
stuff.
You guys go look for it. But
Wow, very good. Thank you. Another very informative session
yes,
here.
I'm on the scene, man.
Yeah, that's it.
is. She's
Oh,
on the
there's
scene.
one thing that I forgot to mention, that I don't talk about things until they're actually 100% cleared. So the legal team has said that I can now announce it, that the show is now going to be on Monmouth Cablevision, other Cablevision as well. If you have Optimum Channel 77, we're now going to be on Tuesday nights at 11 p.m.
Awesome.
So that's something to
That
look
is
forward to.
great.
Sweet.
Yes, we're going to be following Bongo Boy.
Yay! Wow.
Actually,
How do you follow that?
Bongo Boy, it's a good show. This is Gar Francis from the Doughboys, who has a video show, and he shows indie music. So it's rock and roll
very
night
cool. Wow.
on Cablevision Tuesdays.
I'm in.
So there's really nothing else on Tuesdays anyway, since they took Love Boat off. Anyway. Now, let's meet our guests, Future Now. Welcome, guys. Welcome.
Hey, nice to be here.
All right, so we're going to introduce the band. We have John Figaro, guitar,
That's me. Hello. Good evening.
Hi, John.
and we have Dee Dee Pie on vocals. Laura
Dee Dee.
Catalina Johnson III on vocals as well.
The first.
Hi, Laura.
The only. Yes. Hi.
Scott Burton on guitar or bass?
Guitar.
Guitar.
Hi, Scott.
And name the other guys who are not here.
So Todd Habbard is our drummer. He couldn't be here tonight. And our beloved Jay Morgan is in Bermuda. He regrets not being here, but he plays bass. And we have a picture of him here, right here.
There you go.
Lovely.
Nice. All
It's
right,
almost like
so,
having him here.
John, you are going to be the spokesman tonight, and you're going to tell us all about this band, how you guys got together, why you picked MC5 as your subject.
All right. Good evening, and thank you for having us, Dennis. It's
Welcome.
a pleasure to be here. And Scott and I have been friends for a number of years, and Jay. Todd and I grew up in Shrewsbury, and when we were kids, I'm going to date myself, probably back in 1975, I was introduced to the MC5 from a good friend of mine, Phil Cavano. Little shout out to Phil.
Hey, Phil.
Phil.
And he used to bring records in the 8th grade. We were all into Kiss and Led Zeppelin and the usual stuff. And he used to bring records in for me, bands like Sir Lord Baltimore, The Dictators,
Nice.
and the MC5. And I do remember him bringing in Kick Out the Jams for me, and I was sold right away. There was high energy, rock and roll. I didn't know much about the band. But as I got older, I learned more about the MC5, and they've become one of my favorite all-time bands.
Now, now talk a little about the bands and your band and the gigs that you've played and stuff. Especially like I've seen that you played at the Hard Rock Cafe one time. Nice. Tell us about that.
We're very fortunate. Through Scott has some mutual friends up at the Hard Rock, and we did a nice little benefit for Little Kids Rock and Roll, right?
Little Kids
shout
Rock.
out for Little Kids Rock. I'm
Little
on the
Kids
Unitary
Rock,
board.
woo!
It's a great organization which donates instruments to inner city schools and also has a music teaching curriculum. So we had a battle of the bands, the Big Kids Rock it was called, and all the board members' bands played at the Hard Rock.
Oh, cool.
We kicked ass.
You won?
We did not win because we didn't raise enough money as the other band, but I think we can all safely say that we killed it.
Theoretically, we won.
We'll raise more money
We had
next
the
year.
But it was a nice experience for us.
That's
We've
awesome.
We've had limited gigs over the summertime. We're looking forward to doing a few more. Jay and Scott, or Jay is they've been lifelong friends, and about a year ago, Jay had mentioned to Scott that this certain drum kit was available from the Dennis Thompson of the MC5,
Wow.
and they
This
made
is actual
it.
drum head from the visit. We went out there. We should mention to Jay that who may be watching right now or listening, that he started this whole thing. I mean, we're all huge MC5 fans, but he texted me and said, "You got to go out. We have to go out to Detroit and buy Dennis Thompson's drums. They're for sale. They're a 1969 custom-made set." Back when he was the Ludwig rep, and he's selling them, and they graced the stage with a lot of important people, a lot of bands. So I told Jay, I said, "I'm in, but you got to be my co-pilot. We're going to road trip out to Detroit." Went out, met Dennis, videotaped the whole thing. I'm making a documentary about it, and I had this drum head. Thanks, Scott, Dennis Thompson, to prove that we went out there. And the drums are in my studio right now. And
Oh, man.
we got
Wow.
back.
That's awesome.
We got
That's
back, and we're like, now what? And, so Jay and I kind of said, okay, well, let's, we called Figs, and then Laura, we needed some killer vocals, obviously. We're like, hey, how about a chick singer for MC5? How cool would that be? And given that we've played together in lots of different scenarios, I said, how great would this be to have, and then, of course, Dee Dee came along, and
I dragged Dee Dee along.
I do
think it's
anything Laura says, I do.
Isn't it actual? I think it's actually a law now that if you start a band in New Jersey, Laura has to be in it.
I'll tell you right now, they're definitely trying to pass that law. I have many people attempting to drag me into their bands.
I signed the petition.
But I say no to many bands, so the fact that I said yes to this one, that tells you something.
Very good. I still think you should wear that Afro wig when you sing like
Oh, that's
Rob
right.
China.
You're supposed to wear the
Yeah.
Afro wig.
We do have one somewhere. Steve has one,
That'd
right?
be
From our
cool.
other band, the Moroccan Sheepherders. There's a big Afro wig. I'm thinking that might have to happen.
Afros are hot.
All right, now let's talk about the MC5 and this album, Kick Out the Jams, which came out in 1969. So I'm going to let you guys run with this. I'm sure you guys know a lot about this album. Start or anywhere you want. John, you want to start off what you know about this album? Or Scott, anybody? Or I'll start. All right, so this album came out in 1969. And I think the best word that I can think to say about this is it was revolutionary. That they were so loud and they were to the far left. They were radicals. They were involved with the White Panther Party. that they played at the 1968 Democratic National Convention when it turned into a riot, and I think they just kept playing. And you know,
Oh, wow,
I heard
that's
that they
hardcore.
played for like 8 hours that night, and it's just I remember seeing them as a little kid, and they just like the first time I saw them, it was like amazing that they had all these American flags all over the stage. Wayne Kramer even had like an American flag guitar. I think it was a Moss Wright. Am I
Where
correct
did you
with
see
that?
them?
They were playing in my backyard.
Ah, next to the dumpster where that lady was?
I saw them on TV. of
Oh,
course.
okay.
And yes, I never got to see them live in person, of
Okay.
course, because I was a stupid little kid. But and they were only around for a brief, short time. They came out. This album came out in '69. They were on the cover of Rolling Stone, and then they did 3 albums total. And by '72, they were gone, pretty much. And they've been back, many different orientations of them. But 2 of the members are dead now. Do you guys know when they died?
Rob Tyner passed away in the early 1990s. Fred Smith not long after that, and we lost bass player Michael Davis passed away a little over a year ago, I believe.
Yeah. So, and a very interesting thing about Fred Smith, he was actually married to Patti Smith, the punk rock pioneer as well.
Wow.
And they both had the same last name, and they got married.
I'm going to say she kept the name.
She
By the
didn't
way-
take his
No,
name?
she was Patti Smith
Oh,
first,
that's so
and he was Fred Smith.
convenient.
I just read a review. She just came out. Her book M Train is a lot about her life with Fred Smith, and I'm putting that
Wow.
on my birthday list, November 11th. Anyone?
November 11th.
Gotta
M
put
Train,
that
happy
into
birthday,
everything,
Patti
right? Yeah.
Done.
Yeah, she just refers to him as Fred, and I don't know how much he gets into his background per se. But
Yeah. So, you know, and it just, they would cause controversy wherever they went. And of course, the biggest song that they ever had was Kick Out the Jams. And they influenced, I would say, one of the most important punk rock influencers of all time. That I've heard many people say that was their favorite band. Like, for instance, Lemmy said there'd be no Motorhead without MC5.
That's
And
badass.
what other bands? I'm drawing a blank here, but many other bands.
well, a big influence obviously was the Stooges. They were the little
Right.
brother band of the MC5
Right,
at
right.
the
Yeah,
time.
all came out of Detroit. There's blue collar, you know, it was like the antithesis of the hippie generation, that these guys would smash you in the face and instead of handing out flowers. And it just, I love that Detroit scene. And I heard that a lot of music came out of there at that time because it was a blue-collar town, but all the parents had jobs because of the automobile industry, so they could afford to buy the kids guitars and stuff. So the scene took off because of that. And
You know, one quick story on this album is a few months ago, I was lucky enough to go to Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp.
wow.
And some friends of mine gave me this gift certificate for it. So I went, and the star of the show was Joe Perry. And I got to play with Joe Perry. I played
Oh, man.
Wow.
played
Nice.
in the attic
That's
with Joe Perry. It
awesome.
was pretty cool. And a bunch of other people. Vinny Appice played War Pigs with him. Steve Morse played Space Truckin' with him. Anyway, it was an amazing weekend. But the best part of the weekend was we did a Q&A with Joe Perry. And this was right when Jay and I got back from Detroit. And I'm thinking, Joe Perry, you know, he must know about the MC5, about the same age. So I got the mic, and I stood up and I said, Joe, we just got back from Detroit. We're putting together a band, an MC5 band, and all the counselors were all, you know, older than us. They all looked at me like, "Holy shit!" And of course, none of the campers knew what the hell I was talking about. But that's why I asked Joe. I said, "Joe, was just curious to know if you were influenced by the MC5 and what you thought of the MC5." And he looked at me. His eyes got wide, and he said, "Oh, that first album." That didn't leave my turntable for the whole summer. And he went on and talked about it for about 20 minutes, and I had somebody next to me videotape the whole thing. So it was cool to see somebody like him just go off, because he had like 30-second answers to everybody else's questions.
Yes.
This one definitely resonated with him,
Aw.
so it was a big influence to him.
And unfortunately for them, the MC5, that they were much bigger influencing other people than actually making money themselves and selling albums, which is the case most of the times. And so the guy, I found an interesting story about Wayne Kramer, too, the guitar player, that he was, they were all into drugs, obviously. It wasn't everybody. And then he ended up, like, really becoming down and out, like a lowlife and a criminal and stuff, and he ended up going to jail for a while. And I think since then, he's gotten his act together, though.
Well, now he has a foundation where he helps prisoners re-enter
there you go.
through music.
Jail Guitar Doors?
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah. That, by the way, that is a great organization. Joe Strummer was involved in that, I thought.
Yeah, that's a
Right.
Clash song. I
Yeah,
know that.
so-
Yeah.
Well, I think but that's a great organization. They go in and they teach inmates music. They teach them how to play guitar, and it's just teaching them a skill and interacting and helping them reintegrate when they come out.
Very
It's
nice.
A really good
Wow.
Are you in any of those bands, Laura?
I would be. I would say yes to that, actually. If I knew how to teach someone guitar.
So I want to point out my picture up on the wall there that one time when I think it was in the 2000s when MC5 got back together, they had Handsome Dick Manitoba as the lead singer since Rob Tyner was already dead. And I wanted to say that I know Handsome Dick Manitoba. I met him. We hung out. My good friend Bobby G grew up with him, so we spent the whole night together when they were playing at the Brighton Bar. Very exciting night. Steven. So, all right. So, anything else you got?
Wait, what is that? Oh, okay. Dennis,
One other
dropping
thing,
names.
One
I'm
other thing I
sorry
should
about
mention is that when people hear about Kick Out the Jams and MC5 and they expect a band that's going to come out and melt your faces off, and yeah, we definitely are getting to the point where we have some high energy. But the thing that's cool about this project is that we're discovering all the little gems in the second and third album that nobody knows.
Right.
Everybody knows the first album. Not a lot of people know the MC5, but if they do, they know the first album. The second and third albums are great. And,
Yeah, it
especially
really is.
High Time, I think. So we know pretty much all those songs now, and we're all kind of, pleasantly surprised with relearning these songs that we've listened to a lot, but actually getting all the parts down and realizing that they were actually good songwriters.
Yes, and they're actually much better musicians than people might give them credit for. They were very good. So I give you a 5 thumbs up to this album.
Yeah.
Everybody give up 5 thumbs up.
Five
All right,
thumbs?
Let's
5
let's
thumbs.
smell it now. It's time
Okay.
to smell the album. But unfortunately,
It's my
this
favorite.
one has no odor though, so it's not
How
gonna
can
be
that
that
be?
good. I'm telling you, it's not
me
that
smell.
exciting. It's the revolution
LA
in the
Woman
air.
last week smelled better.
Yeah, so you can pull an old one off of there and smell it if you want, but this
Yeah,
is
that's
not too exciting. So you guys got anything else? You got any gigs coming up that you want to talk about, John?
December 9th, we're going to be playing at Drum in the East Village. It's going
Ooh.
to be every year. I've always done an end of year party, which has kind of started out as a work party, and it's morphed into a much bigger thing. This year, it's going to be a benefit for Little Kids Rock. We're going to have a couple bands. We always do a live karaoke where we have a band put together, where we have people come up and sing one verse of the same song. We do it real quick, and it's a lot of fun. Laura's been part of this. Dee Dee's been part of this. Now I'm dragging Jay and Figs and Todd into it. We're 2 blocks
Figs.
away from Manitobas, so maybe, who knows, maybe Handsome Dick will pop by
Oh,
and
yeah.
sing with
If,
us.
I put in a good word for you. I'll get them to show up. All right, so now it is time where we're going to talk about what's happening in the world. And I have a good news story here. You know how I love my news stories,
do,
right?
yes.
So this Maryland police officer is no longer on the job just a few months after he was accused of biting another man's testicles. Michael Flagg is on probation for 1 year following the fracas outside Looney's Pub in Baltimore while he was off duty on Cinco de Mayo. Hey, Dee
Can't
Dee.
blame him. It was Cinco de Mayo.
Sábado Gigante.
You are the next host. I'm telling you.
So during the fight, the victim straddled Flagg to keep him from getting away, and the Anne Arundel County police officer responded by biting the man's testicles.
Last time he'll do that.
Yeah.
The victim had accused Flagg of groping a female friend. The 31-year-old Flagg was convicted of public intoxication and endangering the safety of another person. He was not prosecuted on a more serious second-degree assault charge. The state
wonder
agreed
why.
not to prosecute him for the assault in exchange for his agreement to plead guilty. Flagg's lawyer, Peter O'Neill, told the newspaper the officer had initially faced 10 years in prison for the assault charge. The incident isn't as clear-cut as it would appear. Oh, no?
A lot of gray area when you bite another man's testicles.
So O'Neill told the Capital Gazette, from his perspective, he was attempting to defend himself. He admitted the behavior he engaged in did result in the disturbance of the peace, but that's all he conceded.
No kidding.
Disturbing the peace.
That's
Yeah.
But
disturbing.
it's funny that this all comes together because I'm thinking that he was just hungry because did you know that Maryland is the home of that candy company, Sweaty Balls?
Oh.
And,
I love sweaty balls.
Oh.
Joe Schweddy owns that. He's a good friend of mine, too. He sang with MC5 in 2009, funny enough. So, all right. So, anybody else got any last-minute things here as we wrap this up? No? Thanks. All right. No. I give you... Go ahead if you got something. Go ahead.
I just want to say that inside of my Kick Out the Jams album is not as clean as yours. There is still some foreign residents from many years ago.
I'll give John's
we should have
address.
smelled that one.
This Maryland police officer will be on his way over. Better put on your cup. All right. Thanks for joining us here on Live from Dennis's House, only on 474 The Mix, where the music matters. See you next week when I'll be doing another classic album and behaving badly. Like me on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and check out my new website, DennisMorgillo.com.